Good day, dear students. Welcome to our program, Life Orientation for Policing Certificate. My name is Ina Simpson. My contact number is 081-2457-456, as well as my email address, inasimpson in small caps @gmail.com. Welcome the Pre-Qualification Certificate, Policing Life Orientation, Module 1 in particular. I am your tutor for this module, and I will mark your assignments as well as the examination for this subject. I wish you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven students in this course, meaning that you should be able to take your study on your own and organize it in a better way where you need to make use of all the necessary time for your studies. This presentation will cover the assignment questions. Guidelines, general guidelines on writing academic assignments will be explained also. Instructions and information to candidates. Pay attention to the module outcomes. Read your questions carefully before attempting to answer them. So meaning that in the module, there is a part at the beginning of the module which tells you what are you expected to know by the end of the module. Should you complete the module, what are the areas that you need to understand or that you need to know? You need to write neat and work as required. If possible, type your assignment. The font size is Calibri Light, size 12, and the spacing is 1.5. Before you submit your assignment, make sure that all the answer sheets are stapled together and securely. In case you have some changes or challenges with questions, call the tutor or call me to provide and make sure that you have read, not just to find answers from the tutor. The subject overview. What does the subject have to say to us? This module serves as a firm foundation for other modules. It touches on stress, being positive or negative, experiences, as well as their causes. So meaning that it talks about stress. Either stress can be positive or it can be negative, and it also talks about how and where the causes of stress coming from. It emphasizes on the understanding of time planning and management, its principles, method, and techniques used in scheduling tasks and activities. Those are the areas that are being covered in the module, and also it provides important information on the team, its objectives, values, features of communication, factors affecting a team and the team structure, and it finally touched on the general theory and cultural diversity. So what I just mentioned now, these are the outcomes that by the end of the module, you are expected at least to know these areas. Exit learning outcomes. At the end of this module, you should be able to manage your stress in personal life and work situation in or to improve your quality of life. Make decisions and recommendations about effective time and management in a new venture. Describe a team and the communication processes within the team, and also describe and apply best working team practices and handle conflict situations within the team. Describe the generation theory and diversity between people and cultures. So the upcoming slides will be now explaining all these learning, exit learning outcomes one by one. And in each area where there is a question for the assignments, it will be explained as it is expected. The features, factors, and impact of stress. You are expected to know how to manage your stress in your personal life and work situations in order to improve your quality of life. You are expected to know what are the two types of stress talked about. Here we are referred to positive stress as well as negative stress, and you should be able to define what is a positive stress. What is that give you a motivation or that encourages you to do the work, and what is that demotivates you not to do the work as it is expected. List and describe the positive effects of stress on the general performance of an individual. Now, when you are to list, you need to mention, and after you mention this, you need to describe each one of them so that it made at least sense. Name and describe factors that cause stress under human society. Stress can be from different areas, and this question specifically is talking about the cause of stress under human society. First, you name them, and then you describe those factors. What are they? State and describe how four stresses affect human beings. Referred to your guide, you have the areas of different stresses that are around the person, and that is what you need to state, or that is what you need to name, and then you describe them. And as we are talking about the causes of stress, or mentioned, we are talking of a personal stress, societal stress, and also stress from the environment. And now with the stresses that affect a human being, what are they? You should be able to differentiate the personal stress from society and also from the environmental. Explain the effects of positive stress on the performance of an individual. As we all know that positive stress encourages and motivates a person to complete the work or to do the task. So you are now expected to explain what are the effects of positive stress. When you are well motivated, when you are encouraged to do the work, what would be the performance like of an individual when you are in that position? That is what is expected of you to explain. And then when we move to the next unit, which is study unit 2, it deals with aspects of time management. Why is the scheduling of activities important in the organization? First of all, you need to ask yourself, why do we have organization, and who are the members of the organization, of who are the people in the organization? And the most important part is to schedule the activities. It's very important. Why is it important? Then you need to explain that. Routine tasks are determined by your position in the organization, family ties, civic responsibility, and social obligations. So we need to look at these areas and understand them, that as well as you need to have the activity done, you need to schedule them so that you know how much time you need and how do you go about completing the task. What are the types of interruptions that can be faced by supervisors at a workplace? When you are at a workplace, it does not mean that all will go smoothly. There could be some interruptions somewhere, and now you are asked to define or to mention the different types of disruption that could occur. And in this case, we can look at it could include telephones, where you receive telephone calls from people, or either they are requiring something or they want to have a conversation with you. Remember, the few minutes you take away from your task that you were busy with and answering the phone or getting to the conversation, then that it's already an interruption of what you could have completed in a given time. And then we look at visitors. Sometimes we do receive visitors, they just pop in without any appointment and so on. And also you could also have meetings that could take long and take up much of the time, and also acting incomplete information. If you are working on a task and you have incomplete information, definitely how we're going to plan to complete the work, it could be disrupted because you have to look for information that you do not have at hand. These are the assignment questions that you could require to answer by understanding the verbs understanding the verb correctly. So here what it meant is you need to look at the demanding words in your questions. If it says list, or it says name, or it says describe or discuss, then those are the demanding words or the verbs that are referred to that you need to understand. So by understanding them, it will help you to make up good marks at the end of the day. Unlike you just look through the question and then you do not answer the question according to the demand, then of course you will not receive enough marks for that. Outline the best way in managing the situation in order to reduce the effect on production time. When outline, you are required to state and give a short description of what you just mentioned. So if you state something you mention or you name, you are expected to give a brief description. So you say slightly a short description of what you just mentioned. That is what it's required. Demonstrate how you would handle telephone interruptions in your capacity as a manager of an organization. How are you going to deal with this? You need to find a way how to communicate to people and also how to avoid further disruption when it comes to telephones. Show the understanding on how to handle the telephone disruption at work. Let us see. When you are to work with people, you need to find ways how to deal with different people, and perhaps you can engage your secretary to give information to her or him that should there be a call which you think it's not really necessary, she can take a message and then you can call the person later, or she can schedule or inform the person that you can call at this time, not just anytime a person feel like then to call. It is going to disrupt the work, of course. In Unit 3, we have the team concept and elements of team dynamic. Analyze and discuss the approach that can be used to bring about teamwork at business organization. Justify why supervisors should monitor employees at workplace. Diagnose is a very important when facilitating the team's development and productivity. What can a team manager observe in teams you work with? When we are looking of a team, we are looking of a group of people working together for a good cause. They have a goal to reach. That is a team. And then we are looking at what are the values of that team. The value of a team is divided in 3 different areas, where we have a team should be, a person in the team should be competent, a person should be focused, as well as this person is expected to be confident. Once you have this in place, then at least you will reach your goal at the end of the day. The employees need to be involved in their tasks, and by involved, they are required to have quality of decision. They can also have a good effective solution problems because they are involved, they are not working in isolation. And also looking at the validity of plans, how quickly do they want to implement whatever task they are carrying out, and the moral and productivity of the entire organization. All this is looked at because at the end of the day, we are looking at the end product of what has been achieved so far. And then with the team, again, we have the process of developing high performance teams that involves 3 different skills. The 3 different skills are diagnose, you have the adaptability, as well as the empowerment. When we talk of the diagnosis, you need to understand the employee's behavior. What is it that they know and what is it what they do not know? And also the interaction of the team, it's based on 2 areas, which are the content and the process. So when we are looking at the content, we are looking at what is it that the employees are able to do. And when we look at the process, we are looking at how to complete the task and observe in the team. You need to look at the communication. How do the people communicate? Do they work together or not? And also their goals, roles, decision making, the conflict, how do they handle the conflict? All that are part of the team dynamic work that has to be known. And then when we look at the adaptability, we are looking at the skills of knowing. What is it that a person needs to know in the work or in the task that has a person to do? And with the adaptability, we are looking at autocratic as well as democratic. So previously, we only have 2 areas. The autocratic, what a person has to tell you, what a person thinks that it is right. And then there is also a part where democratic, where a supporting area, a supporting part is coming in. And with the supporting part, at least people or the employees have a part to play. They can also add their views and so on. And then we are looking at the empowerment. Empowerment has to do with the involvement. Are the employees involved? Are they working as a team? And when they are involved, what is it that they are doing? And then we look at the essential of effective team. For you to have an effective team, what is expected of you to have in your organization? We have the acronym or the abbreviation, which is made use of the first letter of each term, which is perform. What does that stand for? When we look at a team, it should start with a clear purpose. Why do you have this organization and why do you have to form a team? By looking at perform, we have the first one, which is the purpose. The members should be able to describe they should be able to describe the common goal of the organization. What is the purpose? Why are they there? And also the empowerment, which is a letter E. Empowerment, members need to feel that they need to feel their personal collectiveness, sense of power. They need to have the access to the skills. They also need to have the policy and practice these policies. Otherwise, there is no point that they are part of the team. And also the relationship and communication. Members are expected to express themselves openly and honestly. So when you are working with people, you need to give them a chance to air their views. They need to also to participate in the relationship, which is the communication. And then we look at flexibility. Members perform differently in their roles and also functions. So are they able to take part, or are they just on their own and nobody is looking at them? They need to be able to adapt to changes as well as demands of the organization. And then we look at the optimal performance. What are the output? What are the end product of what they task given to them? We are looking at the quality excellent. We are looking at the decision making. Is it effective for them? Do they have a clear problem solving structure in place? And then we are looking at the recognition and appreciation. Are the employees appreciated? Are they being recognized or not? All this should be in place to work as a team. And then we are looking at morale. Individuals should feel confident. They need to feel motivated. They need to feel that they have a sense of pride in their work that they do, and also a strong team spirit. Otherwise, you do not have a good team at all. Remember, a team starts with a good purpose of the task. And then with this, we are looking at at few terms that being asked. So we are looking at analyze and discuss the approaches that can be used to bring about good teamwork at business organization. To discuss, when you are asked to discuss, you are expected to give a clear description of the approach to be used to bring about good teamwork at the organization. You look at the question, then you break it down in different parts so that you know whether you have covered all the areas needed by the question or not. Justify why supervisors should monitor employees at workplace. Provide reason as to why a supervisor should monitor employees. Of course, if employees are not being monitored, then the task might not be completed as it is expected. You are not there to play policing, but you are there to assist should there be need to explain something to them, or to see how do they work and how do they perform and how do they take the task on. Otherwise, it is going to be a delay, and perhaps you will also not get good results at the end of the day. So there is a need for a supervisor to supervise or monitor the employees. And then we have critical discuss ways of managing time at an organization. How do you manage time? You need to prioritize things that you need to do first and then what will follow after that. List 4 reasons why it is important to break activities into smaller sections. When you have a task to complete, it's always important that you break it in smaller activities so that you are able to manage it. If you put a project, you set a project for yourself that you are going to do this in a month's time, for example, and you do not break it into smaller activities, you might as well not start on time, and when you start, you might not complete it on time because you do not have the time required. You do not look at the different areas, how much time perhaps you may need in order to complete that specific task. We can also look at the 4 aspects of effective communication. These are the check for clarity of communication. When you are working with people in your organization, you are expected to check on clarity, whether they understood the instruction given, how are they going to handle it. For you to find out whether they understood the instructions or the communication was clear to them, you can also ask them to repeat the instruction to you. Upon what you hear from them, it will give you an idea whether you need to repeat the instruction again or whether they understood what you have just explained to them or give them as a task. And also the message has to be in a simple term. You do not need to make it very difficult if you want good product at the end of the day, because this has to do with the level of understanding of the people you are working with. And also we are looking at the reporting structure. This should be based on the team members' level of understanding or level of development, and make sure you give feedback. When you report, when they finish with the task and you monitor them, you look at what they have done so far, you need to give them feedback so that at least they know whether they have done it correctly or there are some areas that need improvement. And then we are looking at involvement. So are the employees involved or they are not? So you need to look at employees should be involved, they need to be committed, and then you need face-to-face participation when you are working with people. And then we are looking at set standards. When you want the work done, in order for you to reach the goal of what has been a target for the organization or for the task, you need to set a good standard. You need to show people how to go about and make things clear from the beginning so that at least you do not delay whatever task it has to be carried out. That was the team and the team concepts with the team dynamic. It has quite a number of areas that we need to concentrate on. And then we have the last unit, which is talking about the theory and application on managing diversity. What do you understand about culture and diversity? When we are talking of culture, this is what people believe in, a certain group of people believe in, and this is what they do. And then the diversity, they are doing it in a unique way. Each people or each group of people, they do something in a different way, in a unique way, which is applicable to them. What are the characteristics of the generation theory? When we are talking of the generation theory, we are looking at areas that changes, social changes that come up. So we need to look at what are these characteristics and outline the 3 approaches that can be used to manage diversity at an organization. This information should be clear in your study guide, and should you have any question, you are required to drop an email or to call me so that a further explanation is done. But you are also required to find out from different sources, not only to do the cut and paste. You need to answer these questions with more understanding of what is expected of you to do. Then we have the assignment cover. Should be you should write your student number, name and surname on the spaces provided, and also it must be very clear and correct. Take note that the subject code should be written correctly, as well as the subject name. Fill in all other required information to make sure that the assignment cover is correctly completed. There are common errors made by students. Sometimes students wrote wrong subject codes on the cover, and sometimes they also provide wrong student numbers. And please make sure that your answer sheets are stapled together to avoid losing some information from your assignments. Copying and photocopy other students' assignments and submit it as your own is forbidden. Make copies of study guide pages and submit. That is also not allowed. You need to read and understand, come up with the final part of what is expected of you to do or to answer, what is the demand of that specific question. You need to provide sufficient answers, and meaning that don't write too little or too much. You should be guided by the marks allocated per question. Also check the marks allocated, okay? Try by all means to use your own words and refer to your experience. Make sure your statements or ideas should make sense of what you intend to say. It is very important when you read, when you write, and then read again before you submit, so that you look at should there be any area that you need to at least to change or to improve before you send in for marking, to avoid losing marks. We have come to the end of our presentation. I wish you luck and all the best.